Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 6, and today we're taking a look at the 2024 Koenigsegg Gemera. So yeah, this has been in production since 2024, and 300 of these will be made. And the name is a combination of the Swedish words "gi" and "mera", which translate roughly to "give more". And this certainly does give more, as this is the company's first four-seater. It's their first all-wheel drive car, and their first to have four-wheel torque vectoring, and it is in essence a four-seater Grand Tourer. Quite frankly, that is also a plug-in hybrid. So yeah, we've seen many other supercars and hypercars using hybrid technology to produce a quicker, more efficient, and generally more powerful car. Ferrari did it with a LaFerrari, where Porsche do it, McLaren have done it, but yeah, Koenigsegg are finally coming on board and doing that as well. But they're doing it in a way that is far more outlandish than anything we've seen for any other car manufacturer. Quite frankly, you'd have to look at a pure electric hypercar like the Rimac to really get to a car that is as equal as this in terms of pure acceleration and top speed. But like I said, yeah, it is supposed to be a four-seater, so as you can see, even though it is supposed to be, I think they've got the side profile still bang on. Kind of reminds me of the Aston Martin Rapide, in which that was a four-door version of an Aston Martin, and it didn't really look it unless you were properly looking out for those extra two doors. And yeah, despite this having more room in the back, and yeah, because it's got two extra seats, and still trying to package in a large engine and everything else in there, it doesn't look ungainly at all, really. It looks really, really nice in terms of its side profile. And yeah, there's no B-pillar though with this, because there wouldn't be any room for it to get anyone in otherwise. Although you could have gone for a kind of Mazda RX-8 kind of layout with the doors if they so wish, but clearly wanted to keep their iconic doors, which have been on every Koenigsegg so far. And yeah, as you can see, an outlandish interior to go with the outlandish power. Not quite sure why there's 8 cup holders, given there's only ever going to be 4 people in here. But yeah, as you can see, it's a very yeah, outlandish interior, and it certainly fits the whole kind of mood of this kind of car, really, to be honest. And yeah, got a big screen, got a clockwork looking dials there for the speedometer and such. And yeah, not much in the way of physical buttons though, which is a bit concerning considering the kind of speeds that this car can get up to. You really want those physical buttons rather than going through a touch screen all the time. Nothing really in the front, certainly no boot space or anything like that, because this has a lot in terms of its packaging. And yeah, this is also uses a combination of combustion engine and electric power. So it does have a 5-litre twin turbocharged V8, which is basically a revised version of the V8 that we saw in the Jesko, and it uses Koenigsegg's new Hot V V8, which sees the twin turbochargers move from the outer flanks of the engine to between the V, which creates a much more compact engine. And when you're dealing with a mid-engine car with four-wheel drive and also having 4 seats and even a slight amount of boot space, you're going to need as much of a compact engine as possible. So you combine that V8 with the fact that it's got an electric motor called a dark matter electric motor, which is placed on the front axle, and the 14 kilowatt hours of batteries that power it, and in total you have 2,300 horsepower and 2,027 pounds-feet of torque, which is a humongous amount. Now granted, this game doesn't actually say that's what power it actually has, as the in-game car only comes with 1,451 horsepower and 1,279 pounds-feet of torque. Now thankfully you can remove the restrictors that are placed on this car in the upgrade shop, and then you can get it up to the full 2,300 horsepower, which is the amount that Koenigsegg have quoted. So I'm not quite sure why the game in standard version is only at 1,451, because that doesn't even relate to the inline 3 prototype engine version that was going on from Koenigsegg, which was around 1,400 horsepower. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's been downgraded in that regard. It could just be so it fits in a lower class, as when you do take off those restrictors you go into R class, which is obviously not a class of race that is all that common, certainly in terms of online and such, so it could well be that, but I have personally taken those restricted off, so the car is more realistic to what it actually is. And yeah, the power is going through a 9-speed light-speed tourbillon transmission, which again is a revised version that was also on the Jesko, so they've used a lot of technology from that car in this one. We've also got forged aluminium center lock wheels, 21 inches at the front and 22 inches at the back, and it's also got ventilated ceramic rotors all round, and the chassis, like I'm pretty sure all Koenigsegg's, is a carbon fibre monocoque with aluminium substructures, and the weight is 48% front, 52% rear. So yeah, in terms of looks overall, I do really like the front. I do like the side profile. I think they've done a great job in disguising the fact that, you know, you've got way more in terms of interior room than in a standard Koenigsegg. And even though I do like the way that the exhausts are popping out the top of the car and such, I'm really not a fan of the rear end. It's too busy, and those lights look quite, combined with the spoiler, in fact, look like a Porsche Cayman, to be honest, or a Porsche Boxster. And yeah, just not a fan of the rear end, unfortunately. It's far too busy for me, and yeah, it just doesn't look like it's... you know, they could stop designing it, whereas the front is a lot more clear, a lot crisper, and yeah, just a lot better to look at, quite frankly. So yeah, a little bit of a mixed reception from me in terms of the looks, but overall I do like it. And yeah, at the end of the day, this is leaps and bounds ahead of what Koenigsegg have done in the past, and it's certainly a brave choice from them to go for a 4-seater. But I also like the fact that they've not just gone for the easy option of making a 4-door car, or, heaven forbid, a SUV. But nonetheless, we're going to go out onto the drag strip first, just to see what 2300 horsepower looks like when putting it down on the road, and then we'll go onto the Hakubu circuit. Right, so here we are at the drag strip, so let's see what 2300 horsepower looks like. And yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. There's 200 mile an hour in about 8 seconds, which is just insane. And we're doing 269 thereabouts across... Oh dear, we're even going off the mountain. Yeah, 269 mile an hour in a quarter of a mile or whatever it is. So yeah, that is absolutely ludicrous, quite frankly. I can't think of any car that on this game that is as quick as that. Obviously, I've not unlocked every car or driven every car, but yeah, that is still absolutely mad. And yeah, it's hard to argue with 2300 horsepower. Now, granted, even with the 1451 horsepower that this car comes with standard in the game, although it should come with 2300 horsepower standard, it's still pretty quick, but nowhere near as quick as that. So yeah, but nonetheless, let's hear what this car sounds like first around the Hakubu circuit, then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, this is by no means an easy car to drive. So there I went off a couple of times. And that's because it's more relying on mechanical and grip from the all-wheel drive system than downforce, as is per usual from previous Koenigseggs, which yeah typically did rely on downforce to provide its handling. So the faster you go, the more grip and the more handling you have. Whereas here, yeah, it's more of a case of you really got to take it easy in terms of certain corners, because you just might not well have the grip necessary to deal with them. And that's not helped by the fact that this is hardly a lightweight. It weighs 4,488 pounds with these restrictor plates taken off. Weighs a little bit more than that with them on, but I think it's only about £10 or so. But regardless, yeah, that is still a lot of weight and far heavier than any other Koenigsegg that we've had on previous games. But once you start getting used to the way that this car handles, because like I said, it's not handling like your typical rear-wheel drive Koenigsegg, you will more than start to be able to show some results from it, quite frankly. And yeah, you just have to play to its strengths really, and that is launching out of the corners at 1,000,000 miles an hour basically. 0 to 60 though is dealt with in 2.208 seconds, which is ridiculous. 0 to 100 is even more impressive at 3.631 seconds. And with these restrictor plates taken off, you'll be doing 292 miles an hour top end, which, yeah, is mad. The Esco, even in stock form, could not do that. And even with upgrades, I think it got to, what, 306, 308 miles an hour. So this isn't far off doing that. And yet it's got the standard amount of power, standard amount of weight on stock tyres and the like, and yet it's not far off 300 miles an hour. So yeah, that is just absolutely insane. And yeah, overall, this is the kind of car that I typically wouldn't much care for, because I do, in all honesty, prefer much slower vehicles, more basic vehicles, quite frankly. But the sheer power of this, the sheer insanity of the acceleration and the like, is just so different to any other car on this game that it's hard to ignore, and it's hard not to enjoy, quite frankly, especially when you can start sliding it around, because that all-wheel drive system really does work, along with the torque vectoring and the four-wheel drive and the handling in general. Sorry, I got distracted there. But yeah, it all works in certain respects, but what does work and what is undoubtedly working is just the sheer power of it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else I can do with this car in the future. But yeah, 2300 horsepower, really hard to argue against, quite frankly. And yeah, I'm sure anyone who gets this will be able to walk any drag strip scenario or races that are very much speed orientated, because yeah, there's no getting away from how quick this is going in a straight line. Yes, it could be better in terms of handling, and it certainly would be better in terms of handling if it wasn't trying to be a four-seater Grand Tourer. But I can see why Koenigsegg have gone in this direction. Is to widen their market share, widen their appeal to first-time buyers into the brand and such. So yeah, but quite frankly, I wouldn't take anyone in the back seat of this, because I'd be afraid that they'd be sick over the back of your neck, because yeah, the acceleration is that brutal. So yeah, which obviously is aided by that lightning fast 9-speed gearbox, which just flies through the gears. You're in 7th before you even know it, quite frankly. And yeah, that really does aid the acceleration, and I can see why they went for that transmission, because it really worked in the Esco. But they've definitely upgraded it for this car to make it even quicker. So yeah, an amazing feat of engineering, especially when you consider all of the packaging that has gone into this. You've got 4-wheel drive system, you've got a mid-engine V8, you've got boot space, you've got 4 seats, you've got plenty of equipment on the interior. In fact, there's apparently 11 speakers here, and then you've got an electric motor with 14 kilowatt hours of battery. So yeah, I imagine the maintenance on this is going to be quite a nightmare, considering all of the tight packaging that has gone into it. But it still is overall an incredible feat of engineering, and I have to doff my cap to Koenigsegg. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. This is the second car in the car pass, by the way, and yeah, it's definitely my favourite so far. But if you have tried out the Gemera already, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.